Welcome to the CLSN Colson Montgomery postgame show. It's all about Colson. Welcome into CHGO White Sox postgame show, presented to you by Bet365. Sign up using code CHGO365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Welcome into Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, who hasn't muted his laptop. Alongside me, my producer, Joey Christopoulos.
Hey, Sean. Colson.
And for the first time since 2022, making his triumphant debut to the CHGO White Sox postgame show, he's real, Alex Rude.
Hey, thank you for having me.
No problem. I'm just, again, really excited to show my wife that my friend Alex does exist. This is... For all the paranoia out there, this is not a fake contact. This is a real man who I unfortunately text like all the time. Anyways, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you are commenting after this White Sox winner. They win 8-0 against the Twins and get their first series win against Minnesota since, I believe, was it July? July 2023. So thankfully, unlike the Kansas City Royals, they're able to win a series against them this year. So how do you feel after this 8-0 victory, Alex?
Feeling good. Always great to beat the Twins. No other team I hate more than the Twins that we play. So always great to beat them. Poor Taj Bradley. I don't know what he did to the White Sox, but they love teeing off on him. So once again, it was another great game for the Sox.
Poor Taj Bradley, but also like White Sox fans should be rejoicing about Taj Bradley. You don't have to face Griffin Jacks any longer, who I don't think ever allowed a run to the White Sox. And then you have Taj Bradley, who has given up 2 home runs now to Colson. I mean, Colson can have him on payroll now.
Yeah, honestly.
As long as he keeps him around, it's like, Barry Bonds versus,
future home run derby pitcher.
Yeah, I wish I actually had a good. I wish I knew who Barry Bonds hit the most career home runs against. That would have been a good response. Anyways, Colson's been fantastic. We'll talk about him in a second. But as Joey just shared, also stay tuned. Mark Carman of CHGO Bears will join us as Tyson Bagent throughout the first pitch. And of course, Carm was there. Carm's about to go to the U.S. Open, go to New York, and see all the tennis that's about to be played. But he'll join us around 4:30 to talk very briefly about, I was going to say Tyson Bagent or Colson Bagent. Let's talk about Colson.
Tyson Bagent should just change his name to Colson Bagent while the getting's good.
I think so. Sox are now 4-5 against Minnesota. You brought up that that's your least favorite team to play. At least they've shown decent against one team in the AL Central.
It's progress.
Not too much else. I mean, I think now they have over 10 wins against the AL Central, which they didn't last year, so that's more than last year. But do you still think that there's a problem for the White Sox going up against these AL Central teams because they know them so well, or do you think the Sox, by showing that they're 4-5 against Minnesota, could be getting away from that trend?
I don't think it was more like an AL Central specific problem, more that the White Sox had a talent problem and had problems beating everybody. So I don't think it was AL Central specific, but yeah, just racking up these series wins in general. It doesn't even have to be against the AL Central. It's just a much better sign than what it was at this point last year.
Absolutely. And hey, what we didn't have last year was Colson Montgomery. We got to watch a ton, way too much of Jacob Amaya playing shortstop. And even this year, more Jacob Amaya and more Vinny Capra. And I understand why you saw Chris Getz kind of pushing for Colson Montgomery to be the opening day shortstop because clearly he's the most talented player, at least in the Charlotte roster. And so far, he might be the most talented player on the White Sox roster. 13 home runs in the past 28 games for Colson Montgomery. Since 1995, Albert Bell, Jose Abreu, Jim Thome, Paul Konerko, Frank Thomas, Luis Robert Jr., Jose Abreu, Carlos Quinton, Jermaine Dye, Carlos Lee have all had, since 1995, 13 homers in a 28-game stretch. Those are some pretty good names.
Yeah, it's
Real
good
quick,
company.
Yeah, you're basically naming the 21st century team. When we made that 21st century team, Colson is on that list of basically all the players you just mentioned.
We are naming the best seasons for White Sox hitters, and 3 of them are from Frank Thomas. One of them's from Albert Bell's insane 1998 run. JD in 06 was phenomenal. Konerko had several in 2002 and 2010. I mean, you're talking about the best of the best. Roberts' 38 home run season. I know he hasn't been great this year. I know Bruce Levine, who we'll talk about later, wants to cut him. But those are
it's great.
The best of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for the first 42 games. That's the stats I want to be sharing about Colson Montgomery.
Exactly.
What do you make of him so far? Do you think that this is like a flash in the pan? I know somebody in Discord asked, Matt Keaton brought up, are you worried about his OBP being so low? I think it's still below 300.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, as long as he keeps the slugging up, like the OBP can stay at the 280, 300 level, I really don't care as long as he keeps hitting dingers, to be honest.
Right. Well, and the thing, too, is I don't know where he's going to end up in the future, whether it's shortstop. He's so far rated positively defensively, 4 outs above average, 5 defensive runs shared, nearing a 2-WAR, B-WAR season. He's at 1.6. I think he's at 1.2 right now in F-WAR. According to Baseball Reference, he's the fourth most valuable White Sox so far this year, just behind Mike Tauchman, Adrian Hauser, and not Shane Smith. Mike Vassell, but of course. Do you think this is par for the course? I mean, obviously there's going to be some setback because, he's
obviously there's going to be struggles because that's just baseball, but like you've been doing it very consistently. It's hard to see like this is a flash in the pan. Like you said, it's now over like a 30-game sample and like he's still like producing. As long as he keeps producing, it's like future's very bright at shortstop, I think, honestly, unless someone comes up like a Billy Carlson, like quickly through the minors and pushes him to third base. I think he's the shortstop for the next 3 to 5 years at least.
Because even with Bonnemer, I mean, I don't know exactly how good of a shortstop defensively he is. Carlson's obviously been raved a little bit more defensively than him. But I think they would love to see a guy that hits 25 homers playing shortstop. I mean, that's MVP material. Obviously, the LBP is concerning, but this pop, obviously, with the names that we've brought up, like Thomas, Bell, Dye, Konerko, I mean, these are some of the best White Sox players in history. And the value of all those names were in their bat. None of those guys played middle infield.
Yeah,
I mean, none of them were even third baseman. There's no Moncada in there. There's no Creedy in there. They're all first baseman, corner outfielders, or Luis Robert Jr. And we saw Robert put up one of the best seasons in White Sox history. If this kid could play shortstop at a above average level, maybe not Corey Seager, but like Joey Gallo at shortstop.
I mean, I'll take that.
Jim says, I was very wrong about Colson. The man was sent back to extra spring training in April, and now he's ranking. You brought up...
Very big of you, Jim. Very big of you to admit.
We love accountability.
Yeah, way to pat yourself on the back there for being accountable, Jim. You brought up, is it a Ryan Fuller thing? Is it a Colson thing? When you look back at the extra spring training that Jim brings up, it's probably a mix of several things.
Yeah.
It's preseason injury, Fuller, Colson. What do you think it truly comes down to from why Colson had such a bad April, him going to extra spring training, not even showing this in Charlotte? Melissa in Discord brought up that he hasn't been, even showing this power in Charlotte. Like, what has led to these 42 games, you think?
I think a lot of it was all mental. I think I've said this before at some other pods, but a lot of it was like Colson getting in his own head. Like you have the Crochet trade and all these other guys getting brought in, getting to the majors before you are. When you were supposed to be the future, the standard for the franchise moving forward, you see all these guys come in, have success, causes you to push more, press harder in AAA, which is why he had like all the struggles in AAA. But once he made it to the majors, he's been able to hit the ground running and prove to himself, like showing himself that he could do it, and he is the player that everyone thought he was going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up?
Oh, I was going to ask you. You just said the number 25 home runs for a shortstop. I can't, for the life of me, I don't think that's happened in the 21st century in the White Sox uniform. Alexi Ramirez is high as 21. Jose Valentin, if you want to play that, if you want to play that card a little bit with part-time shortstop and third baseman, maybe it's Jose Valentin. But then you got Ozzie Gain in the 90s and the 80s. There is no shortstop for the Chicago White Sox that's hit 25 home runs, at least that I can remember in my lifetime.
I'll look it up, too. I mean, part of this, too, I mean, Colson hasn't even played the majority of his games at a shortstop. So I'll look up, guys who have played 100 games at shortstop that have hit that many home runs in a White Sox uniform. Real quick, Randy says, if we can win at 50-something wins, we will be all right. Sox are at 47. Preseason total was 48.5. There's some people that'll be be a lot richer at Chicago. We're at August 24th. There's
3
no
wins
way
to go.
that they don't get to 50. What number do you think they end up reaching? Because it does seem like Robert's been playing in stride. Caro, Teal have been fantastic. Obviously, we've been talking about Colson and his excitement so far.
Let's take a
His
quick-
homer today, 112.8, third hardest hit White Sox homer this year. He's just behind Robert and himself. He also now has 3 of the top 10 hardest homers hit this year by a Chicago White Sox. But where do you think they finish this
Looking
year?
at the schedule for the rest of the year, it's manageable. I could definitely see them pushing towards 60 wins.
Right.
Like I thought going into the season, it was like quest to 60 wins. Like I thought that would be like the max. But it's very much in play.
Malachi Hayes, who we had on, I think on Thursday or Wednesday, my memory forgets me, but he says, I mean, the Pythagorean win-loss record is a 54 wins. Like, I mean, they should be winning more games than they have right now.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
they've been
9 and
underperforming that. Yeah.
9 and 24 in one-run games. If they win, 11 more games, it puts them at 58 on the year?
Yeah.
That's a huge win for Will
Yeah,
Venable.
even doing that with the one-run game record as it is, coming into the year, I thought one of their easiest ways to gain wins over last year was returning back to normal with the one-run games, because even last year they were historically bad, but they've somehow gotten worse and still are improving the wins. So,
Well, and it's honestly, I think they're just sticking away from the one-run games.
Yeah.
They're just actually blowing teams out. I mean, I don't have the number on hand, but we talked about their difference last year from getting blown out and not blowing out teams. I think they had 2 games last year where they scored over 10 runs. I mean, this isn't 10 runs today, but I mean, they've been a top 5 offense since the All-Star break. And now it's almost September. Like, this isn't just like, 12 games against the Pirates.
it's been like 6 weeks at this point.
This is true proof. It has been insane. Jim's asking how much credit does Venable get for this. I think it's just more, again, because it's baseball, it's 26 men playing on that team, but then it's also the front office. It's all the people around the front office. It's Walker McKinven in the bench. It's Ethan Katz. I think it just shows the job or kind of enhances the job that Chris Getz has done this year. The real reason they are in this position is because Chris Getz took control of this organization. And while they aren't spending over $100 million on payroll this year, it was about the undercarriage of this offense or this organization. They're building up in the Dominican.
Building a foundation to actually be a competitive baseball team in the 21st century.
And I think that foundation's leading to this.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we'll see the full results until like years down the line, but like you could start to see everything coming to fruition. Like things are starting to come together. I think they still got a lot more steps to go before they're competitive, but it's a good start.
Yeah, and Joey's sharing 32 games left in the year, 11 and 21. That sounds doable.
Yeah, that sounds very doable.
And you got games. I think you got more games against Minnesota who've handled well.
Yeah.
You got the Yankees coming up, which, a little bit iffy. Kansas City has done very, very well against you, but hopefully that kind of, makes you want to bounce back a little bit. You have the schedule pulled up.
Yeah, we got series against Tampa Bay, Baltimore, San Diego, and Washington. Those are the non-AL Central series we have left besides the Yankees this upcoming weekend.
So Louis is asking, let's get to 63, so no 100 losses. They'd have to win 16 of the last 32, which is 50-50, right?
Could be
They're at
done.
47 wins right now, so they got a 13's magic number.
To get to 63.
Oh, I meant to get to 60. Oh, 63 is back to
So, 16. Yeah, so, if they go 500 in the last 32, that'd be interesting. I don't know. It's been a real show for the White Sox this year. I know that the guy that flies the helicopter over at NBC5, Michael Orber, is a little bit upset with some of the turnover. Like, Josh Rojas hasn't been good. They obviously just DFA'd him. Martin Perez was injured and hurt.
Yeah.
A lot of the bullpen's been bad. Clevenger. Did we mention how terrible Clevenger was as the signing being their opening day closer? But Tice, Hauser, Slater, you're all able to get trade returns for. And, even Talkman. Talkman's been your best bat. I think this is just a really impressive year for Chris Getz if they're even able to approach 60 wins when the preseason thought was 47-48.
Yeah, that's nearly a 20-win improvement year over year. It's really good.
It's another 100-loss season. Maybe if they're able to avoid that, maybe not even. But still, going from the worst record and most losses in an entire season to a 20-win improvement is impressive. Joey, before we hit a break, we do want to update you on the shortstops that played 100 games for the White Sox that hit over 20 homers. There's 7 in history. Can you name them, Joey?
Are any of them during my lifetime?
Yes, a lot of them
1984
are.
Really?
There's one of them that's not during your lifetime. You weren't born in 1964, right?
No.
Yeah, so yeah, not that one.
What a shame.
That one's Ron Hansen. Ron Hansen had 20 in 1964.
So I'm going to say we're going to count Jose Valentin. I feel like he has one of 100.
Not only one, he's got 3. He's the leader. He's the only one with 30 in 2004. In 2003, he had 28. In 2000, he had 25. He's the only one with 25 homer seasons. So Colson would join Jose Valentin.
After that, I'm at a loss. Alex, what do you got?
I see my computer.
Yeah. I got nothing.
You could get 2 of these names.
Oh, did Tim get?
Tim got 20. Tim got 20 in 2018, and then there's one guy that had 2. He's the only other guy, and he did it twice. It wasn't Alcide, but wasn't Alice Ramirez. It was before him.
Juan Uribe.
Juan Uribe. Thank you.
Juan
Uribe had 21 in 2006 and 20 in 2007.
But not 25.
No, Valentin's the only shortstop to play 100 games.
Crazy.
To have 25 plus homers. And right now, Colson, I think, Steve Stone did quick math on the broadcast. He's on pace for like 105 RBIs, which is insane. We got to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show. Stay tuned. Here are some ads. We want to let you know about our friends over at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. They've been serving the Chicagoland area for over 50 years, and now is the time to get your air conditioner checked out because summer's going to rear its ugly head at the end of August and near September. And once it gets back up into the 90s, you'll want that AC firing at 100%. Four Seasons is the place to help you with your AC installation, maintenance, and repair. Their expert technicians ensure you always receive reliable service, and Four Seasons doesn't change or charge more for service during nights, weekends, and holidays. They always have your back, whether it's plumbing, electrical, heating, or cooling emergency. If you need a new hot water tank or generator, call Four Seasons with the same day installation and no extra charge for nights, weekends, or holidays. Call 866-4SEASONS. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Ownwell. If you are lucky enough to own a home in Cook County, congratulations. You are also likely overpaying for your property taxes. Overpaying for property taxes is something far too many Cook County residents are doing, and you don't have to be one of them. In Cook County, appeal windows vary by townships, close up rapidly, and are very difficult to win. Let Ownwell's experts ensure you're prepared for when it counts. You could sign up in under 3 minutes, and their team of local experts and cutting-edge technology can help you start saving money with no upfront costs. In Cook County, Ownwell has a 25% contingent fee, meaning you only pay if your property taxes are reduced. 86% of Ownwell's customers receive a reduction. Ownwell handles everything from start to finish and delivers top results with an average saving of $1,102. This is the place to save money. Save money on your Cook County property taxes today with Ownwell. Sign up in less than 3 minutes. Start your appeal at ownwell.com/cook. That's Ownwell, OWNWEEL.com/cook. Welcome back to CHGO White Sox postgame show presented to you by Bet365. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. I'm Sean Anderson. That is Alex Rude. You can follow him at arude8 on Twitter, but also stop using that site because it's a hellscape. Move somewhere else. Joey Christopoulos is our producer behind the scenes. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the chat. We'll be joined by Mark Carman in about 15 minutes to talk Tyson Bagent because of course, that's what he does. And then we'll also talk about Luis Robert Jr. in a moment. I have a beef to pick with somebody in the Chicago media, somebody I've produced radio shows for and has yelled at me before. No beef, though.
That's going to be fun. This is going to be fun.
Right, yeah. I got, and just to update something from earlier, Barry Bonds hit 8 homers. I guess this is the most in his career against Greg Maddux, Kurt Schilling, John Schmaltz, Terry Mulholland, and Chan Ho Park. Those are the most he's hit in a career. And what? 3 of them are Hall of Famers?
Yeah.
3 of the 5 are Hall of Famers? Barry Bonds, pretty good at baseball. I don't think Taj Bradley will be a Hall of Famer.
Don't think so.
No, but Colson's got 2 against him, baby. Let's go. All right, let's jump into Yoendrys Gómez real quick. Yoendrys has been a surprise story for the White Sox. After making a quick bullpen debut for the White Sox early in May, he's come back as a starter, and in the 3 games, he went 5 innings, 1 earned run, 89 pitches. His second game, 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 90 pitches. Game today, 4 2/3, no earned runs, 89 pitches. That's pretty damn consistent. He gives you about 5 innings of 90 pitches. What do you make of Yoendrys? Is that
think he
found money?
Yeah, definitely. Like 6 Ks today, and wasn't really walking guys either. He had trouble at the end, but like that's solid. Like 5 innings of work that you can get every 5 days, especially when a team that's having starters like Cannon and Burke struggling. Like you'll take that any day of the week.
Right. And honestly, too, like the 5 innings pitched isn't exactly what's desirable from a starter, but for a guy that has made a transition middle of the season to go from reliever to starter to consistently give you 90 pitches and 90 quality pitches, I think it's a real win for the White Sox. The biggest win for them is the fact that they've changed Yoendrys. He threw a 4-seam fastball, a sinker, a sweeper, a curveball, a cutter, a changeup, and a slider today. 7-pitch mix from Gómez. And the one thing that they were talking about pregame that they've helped him, and I believe it was Ethan Katz, kind of focus a little bit more on, is his sinker. He threw that 23 times, his second most pitch used today. Cutter, he used that 8 times, and then his changeup, which was used 5 times. And that's honestly the one thing that we've seen with the Sox. I think Shane Smith's a really good example of that. They've started to introduce a sinker to him. They started to introduce a changeup with him. We saw that with Davis Martin as well with the changeup. I think he already threw a sinker, but I think the one place that the White Sox are seeing their advantage in pitching, we've also seen Noah Schultz adopt a sinker as well, is that sinker, changeup, cutter. I don't know what it's unlocking, but they're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm noticing it. I think that's all I can do about the trend, but they're doing that. What do you make of at least, their pitching successes? Have there been enough?
Yeah, definitely. Like for as much talk like on Twitter, like over the past couple of years, how Katz needs to be fired, is like showing himself to be pretty darn valuable, like to the organization, like getting all these guys like Shane Smith, Adrian Hauser, like off the street, off waivers, Mike Vassell, Rule 5,
Right.
Like getting success out of those guys that were like throwaways from other teams. Like they got assets for a guy they signed off the street in May because of the work that he was. It wasn't like he was doing good in the minors. He was stinking in the minors for the Rangers and got released because he had no path to the big leagues. Then comes in like one meeting with Katz and just flips the switch.
Yeah,
like,
and he was a guy that I think used sinkers too. I mean, part of it was this off-season kind of overhaul of his entire body and regaining command, but they even tweaked his pitches.
Oh, yeah, that's another good example, Kevin. Eric Fetty last year, too.
Right.
With how bad he's been since.
Fetty did, with how bad he's been since. I think part of that, though, is like the adrenaline rush of Fetty. Like, he had all that confidence and success coming over from Korea, and he made a lot of those Arsenal changes before coming over to the White Sox in Korea. So, yes, Fetty, but also no. Who was released by the Braves today? Yeah. He wasn't DFA'd. He was just completely released. So I think he's gone. But anyways, Yoendrys been a fun appearance for the Sox. Good outing from him today. Let's get into some Luis Robert Jr. stuff. Some asinine stuff was said by Bruce Levine on Inside the Clubhouse on Saturday around, I don't know, about 10:12 a.m. Central Standard Time. On Inside the Clubhouse, he said that he thinks the White Sox should decline Luis Robert Jr.'s option for 2026 and use that $20 million to fill out the starting lineup. The first question I asked to Bruce, or right now at least, is, Bruce, if you decline that $20 million option, who's playing center field? That's part of the 9 guys in the starting lineup. They don't have a backup center fielder. There's not a better center fielder on the market right now. And if you take off Luis Robert Jr.'s $20 million owed for 2025, you have one single contract on the books for next year. It's Andrew Benintendi's $17.1 million. And I ask you, Bruce, is it that ridiculous to give Luis Robert Jr. a $5 million raise when he's approaching on a 20-homer and a 40 stolen base season when you're paying Andrew Benintendi $3 million less for a lot less? For playing a worse position, for hitting for less power, for not being able to steal, I think, a single bag this year, maybe 2 or 3. This is asinine. And I don't think it's coming from the owner. That's been something spewed by other ex-users or whatever, Twitter users, that, Bruce is a mouthpiece for the owner. This makes no sense. I think the owner's on the side of the GM. Right. Well, I think also he's a Bob guy, but also I think that really this is just a bad take. Yeah. I think that if you are listening to what Chris Getz had to say, he said, we just love Luis Robert Jr. We do. Getz, before being quizzed on his intention for his center fielder's $20 million team option for 2026. I bolded this. We anticipate him being here. We do. If we felt otherwise, maybe we go a different course. I've bolded this too. Certainly, it wasn't to the level we felt like we could have met the mark for us to make a move from a talent like Luis Robert Jr. And the coming years, that's a big part of the offseason and the coming years, and we feel like Luis Robert Jr. is going to be a part of that. Like, they think that they can help Luis Robert Jr. expand. Right now, in 2024 and 2025, he's had his 2 worst seasons. At 1.1 WAR, and I think now 1.5 WAR. He'll probably finish this year at a 2 WAR season. If you decline that option and go give $10 million to Ryan O'Hearn, who just had his 2 best career years at 2 WAR, what are you really replacing? You're just making a big hole in center field when you could just
shifting the problem elsewhere.
Yeah, you could just pay Luis Robert Jr. $20 million, have $37 million on the books, and just give O'Hearn $10 million because you're still going to be under $80 million for 2025. It's stupid. It's asinine.
Exactly.
Sorry. He's been fantastic, Robert, over the past 35 games. We just saw him make 3 incredible defensive plays in the outfield. Yesterday, he hit an insurance homer. That was a blast. I'm all for Luis Robert Jr. being here in 2026, and it seems like Getz and the owner should be too.
Yeah.
What? Oh, okay. We could circle comments there from Baloney. But they didn't make a mistake keeping Robert.
No. If I doubt the offers were really there. Like, nobody really, like, wanted him. Like, I think it came out, like, the only team that was really interested was, like, the Phillies or the Mets, one of those two.
Right. Well, I think the Mets were, and I think Getz was trying to be like, oh, no, the Phillies are interested. The Phillies are interested. But I look back to last year's deadline, when they were trying to trade Crochet, there was the report, which only, those things leak to Matt Gelb because Dave Dombrowski's pissed, where he said they offered Aiden Miller and Justin Crawford, who, I think they got a better deal from the Red Sox by holding on to Crochet and getting T.O. Mydroth, Montgomery. But clearly Dombrowski thought he gave enough for Crochet, and I think he was pissed at Getz, and I don't think they were doing any more deals. They did the Tanner Banks thing, but I don't think on a level to Luis Robert Jr., they're messing with Chris Getz because they know whatever they give to Getz, he's taking to another team. Yeah. Like, I don't think Dombrowski really wanted to deal with Getz, and then we saw Bob be very weird after the deadline, being like, a lot of GMs find him really difficult to work with, and I think it's like, because he's working them.
That's him doing his job.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, I know. It's just, I think a lot of that's being played out. I think Getz is really just stuck to his guns and
that's
shown
like the one thing he's consistently been throughout his tenure, whether it was C's, Crochet, and now Robert. It's like they have a value, and if it's not met, they'll hold on to.
Right. Well, and it seems like even with the Cease thing, it didn't pan out the right way, but they held for their value, and he's not even having that good of a 2025. Like, I think they did the right thing in the Crochet deal. Seems like they're doing the right thing with the Robert thing. I don't know if they did the right thing with Cease, but they held on to him.
Yeah.
How do you look back at that Cease trade?
I mean, there wasn't much they were probably going to get for him. Like, I think they thought they had something in Thorpe, and with his Tommy John, it's like they can't see the return there. But I think that trade probably one of his biggest misses, but it is what it is. Like,
that and the Christian Mana trade.
Yeah.
So is it fair for a White Sox fan to start believing what Chris Getz says on a more regular basis? And when I say that is because we have had a problem in this town, especially when it comes to the owner and having certain mouthpieces that will go out and beta test discourse from time to time. And when we hear those comments from Bruce, you're like, is he beta testing a plan that the White Sox might have in the offseason? And is he getting it out there so White Sox fans can either get mad at it now or start getting used to it now? But is it fair to start to think that Jerry actually did hire Chris Getz to do things differently, to maybe not be his mouthpiece, and maybe we should start taking Chris Getz more at his word and earning that trust a little bit with Sox fans?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's fair to take him at his word because he's usually been straight up. He hasn't really been like, just say one thing just to say it and not really mean it, or at least not what I can think of.
The one thing that I think Getz has done really well, to a frustrating point when it comes to like Clevenger, because I think sometimes he was talking the repeated talking points from his prior boss. But I think the one thing that he has done, especially this year, is he's just stayed very positive, and I don't think he's really gone into the weeds at all to where he's gotten himself in trouble, where I think Rick got a little bit comfortable after being the GM of 10 to 12 years and started to step on that branch a little bit. And I think Rick was telling the truth. I also think Rick really wanted to be respected. So I think Rick kind of wanted to get his takes out to the media and be like, oh, well, remember when Rick was right? And I think part of that was probably Kenny breathing down his neck.
And Rick had to toe the line, right? Because let's be honest, he had to be the company man when they hired Tony La Russa, and clearly AJ Hinch was this guy. I mean, we're not going to relitigate that now.
Yeah, you brought up that name, and I don't like that you brought up that name. You could leave that name. Carm's calling in. We have to take a break. We're going to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast presented by Bet365. We'll be joined by Mark Carman to talk about his boy, Tyson Bagent, on the White Sox show, of course. Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is your place to get your new car. They are slashing prices on new cars and giving you big savings all month long. So come in today, shop the new car clearance event with one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. You're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you, whether it's the make, model, and color, and probably even interior, right? Hey, maybe you want those leather seats. I bet you Ray can offer you because they have the largest Chevy inventory in Chicagoland. As one of the top Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you'll know you'll get a great deal. Plus, with Ray's Price Promise, you could shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. If you want to go online browsing over at raychevrolet.com, the price you see is the price you get. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. And they're over on Route 12 in Fox Lake. Shout out to Ray. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Monarch Money. You need a personal CFO in your life. Money can be confusing. I could spend hundreds on fast food in a month if I'm not easy. That's why I have Monarch Money. They act like my personal CFO, giving me full visibility and control so I can stop earning and stop spending and start growing. It's a perfect match made in heaven. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. So don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. You can head over to monarchmoney.com, use code CHGO, and get 50% off your first year. Check out Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Financial stress is one of the top reasons relationships fall apart. Monarch Money makes money conversations easier. You could track shared individual accounts, set goals together, and keep money check-ins drama-free. So check out monarchmoney.com. Use code CHGO for 50% off your first year. monarchmoney.com/CHGO for 50% off your first year. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. We have to talk about the first pitch because, of course, we had media covering there because the guy throwing it is Mark Carman's boy. Let's hear from Tyson Bagent about how big of a White Sox fan is, and then we'll go to Midway Airport to talk about Mark Carman.
People should know, by the way, that this White Sox jersey, it's just not for show. I mean, you're on board here. I think what are you? You're 5-0 here this year?
5-0, 5-0, about to be 6-0. They're out there handling business right now, so yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. All right. Before we'll probably talk to you again after the season starts here, but like last moment, knowing that you're going to be in Chicago for a while, it's got to feel good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Chicago's my second home, as I've stated before, and I'm glad I'm here for a little bit longer.
Is. Look how happy Mark Carman is to be joining us from Midway Airport. Hi, Carm.
What's up, Carm?
Gentlemen, Sean, that was, I think it's my best work ever, honestly, to be able to track Tyson down in the parking lot, throwing out, getting loose. He was throwing like 80 miles an hour, I swear, in the parking lot. That ball was popping. And then, he stepped in there. I think he actually probably got a little bit nervous on the bump, took a little bit off, and then, just making friends with White Sox fans all over the suite level today. A lot of people wanting to talk to Tyson, including myself.
Was it a strike?
Yeah, I don't think it was. I haven't reviewed the tape yet, but it looked a little high to me. But I got to look. Bagent, most guys who play quarterback, they're good athletes, right? And they've got the arm, so it ain't like he can't throw it. But this dude's got a 36-inch vertical. He can dunk a basketball. I think he told me something like his sophomore year. So this is a straight-up athlete who was taking it seriously. Like, getting into the lot, it was a little bit close to game time. So he hopped out of the car and was like, give me that mitt, let me get warmed up here. Because, he's Tyson Bagent and he wants to do everything the right way. So, he was firing it, and then he walked in, all business, let's go. and did say afterwards, I don't think I could handle being on that mound. NFL quarterback's a little bit easy, which is kind of a crazy comment because you got people out there trying to kill you versus trying to I don't know, throw a 95 plus on the black. But that was his reaction.
How relieved are you that this Bagent stuff happened this week and not the week that's coming up while you'll be in New York for the U.S. Open? This is perfect timing for you.
Yeah. Well, see, technically, Sean, I did have a flight this morning, and I would have been there for day one today, but I was like, I cannot miss the festivities here. So I had to get Southwest on the horn here. I had to give them some extra points to move this thing around. I had to get up at midnight last night because you get up on the choice plan. I had to take this 5 connector, which was the cheapest thing I could get. And then I got up at midnight and said, let me get on that 2:30. They wouldn't let me on the 2:30, so now I'm on the 5:55. So it wasn't perfect time, and you didn't need to know any of that, but I felt the need to tell you for some odd reason. Anyway, the point still stands, though. It was good timing. Thank you. I'm glad it happened this week. I was on vacation the week before. I come back. This all happens, and now I'm getting my last break before we hopefully get a lot of wins in our Bears coverage this year. Apologize for the crying baby to my right.
Our play-by-play announcer famously said, for all the haters out there, for all the haters of Mark Carman, this week proves to why he's here at CHGO moving this machine. Whether it's on the softball field or covering the Tyson Bagent beat, he can do it all with that hustle and grind.
Hey, listen, it is true. I do like to find the diamonds in the rough. And when I was at training camp 3 years ago, and P.J. Walker was dirting it every time he dropped back, and there was a guy by the name of Nathan Peterman who's a swell fellow, but certainly not an NFL quarterback. I'm like, who the hell is this 17 undrafted guy? Maybe I'll get interested in him because I didn't love Justin Fields either. I loved him as a guy, but not as a future star quarterback. So I started watching 17. And then he got a chance to play. And then his first start, he's waving at the Soldier Field crowd, giving this one after a sweet third down conversion to Tyler Scott. And then he's, rolling out and covering about 20 yards. And I'm like, who is this dude? I'm in. And now here we are. Listen,
Here you are.
I was liking what I was seeing, and I wasn't liking what I was seeing elsewhere. So I got on the Bagent train.
Credit to you. Who's winning the Open, both men's and women, before we get you out of here?
What a question. Let's go all American out of nowhere here, just because it's the U.S. Open. Let's go Coco on the women's side, and let's pick out. I believe Taylor Fritz started won his opening round match today, so maybe this is the first time that he breaks through on the National League. But I'm not even worried about that, Sean. I go to court 17, no pun intended, court 17, which is actually court 4, and I watch player 23 play player 86 in some of the greatest athletic prowess that I just sit there and enjoy myself for 3 days and think about nothing other than what's in front of me and come on back and let's get to work here for the season.
Let's go. Enjoy yourself, Carm, and get on that flight. You're there, prepared and ready. So thanks for joining us and covering the Bagent beat.
I appreciate you having me, team. Have a great rest of the show. Go Sox. Good win today. Win a series. We're
6-0
trying to get
in the house.
6-0. Let's get to 63 here. Let's not lose 100. Still on the table here. So that's a fair goal. The King says hello, by the way, Sean.
Hello to the King. We'll talk to you soon, Carm.
Okay, brother.
New York.
Thanks, Carm.
Okay, guys. Big guy.
Back here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show with Alex Rude. I thought I'd bring up to Carm. You just got to experience Carm. I know that had nothing to really do with the White Sox, but oh well.
Carm was living his life in that moment.
Look how happy he was.
He was place to place.
Insane. I mean, ear to ear. I've never seen someone that excited. But we talked a little bit about Luis Robert Jr. I guess I ranted a little bit about Luis Robert Jr. Last 35 games for him, not including today. 4 doubles, 6 homers, 11 stolen bases, 11 walks to 23 strikeouts, a 306 batting average, 365 on base percentage, 484 slugging. He's been insane. I don't think there's any way they don't keep him. We went through this exercise right now looking at the offseason plan. They're keeping Caro and Teal, both of those guys making league minimum, which I made $780,000. But they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 of the 26 that I've constructed, making the league minimum.
I think there'll be more, to be honest,
right,
for some of those bullpen and bench spots.
And yeah, I mean, they only need to fill out 2 bench spots, 1 starter, 5 bullpen arms. Some of those might be in the organization already, but they're at 53.9. They spent 84 so far with all of the expenses that come through a team. I think they started out about 75 million. So they spent
Seems
about
a fair target. Yeah.
10 or 9. What do you think is a fair target for this year? Chris Getz has brought up the idea of spending. They're keeping Robert. They have Benintendi. They're at 54 right now and have to fill up those spots. Do you think they could reasonably spend over $8 million on a player?
I think so. It's the one thing is it is kind of a weak free agent class, to be honest. Looking at everything, because they're obviously not going to go after like the Pete Alonso's, the Kyle Tuckers,
right,
and of that players of that ilk. But yeah, they could definitely like spend some money and they get more veterans in there. But like as we talked about earlier, he's been hitting those like low cost, like value signings pretty well. So I wouldn't mind if he just does more like that.
Yeah, when you look at the team, obviously Caro and Teal have catcher lockdown. I think Colson's easily their opening day starting shortstop. I think Chase is their opening day second baseman. When you look at second base, Vargas and Maydroth, do they have that lockdown, or do you think that you could see Vargas moving to first and them looking to try to fill third base?
I think they'll have Vargas on one of the corners, whichever is easiest. I don't think I'll pencil him in for one or the other right now just yet, but we'll see. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a fair assumption to assume he'll be starting somewhere in there. Same with Chase.
Right, and I love Patrick Nolan just kind of putting into all my thoughts into words where he's saying, Andrew Benintendi's not good enough of a hitter to be a DH and not good enough a fielder to be a left fielder. So really, what's the point of having him on the team? What is the point to having him on the team? I mean, he's going to obviously get paid $17.1 million and $15.1 million in 2027, but can they figure out a deferment to where they pay him that $31 million over 15 years?
To be honest, like if you eat enough of that money, you could probably have somebody take on his contract. But there is a lot left. That is the problem. But heading into next year, it'll be about like $35 million left on the deal. So maybe, but that is a lot of money to just eat. But we'll see.
Yeah. Kevin in the chat brought up the idea of an extension for Robert. I think that's fairly off the table, and not really because of the player, but because of his age. He's one of the younger free agents that will hit the market.
Would be dumb for him to sign an extension at his lowest value. And to be honest,
Boris is his agent, who will probably tell him similarly.
Exactly.
I don't think, even though it sounds logical for the Sox, because I think we all understand his potential, I just don't think it will be feasible.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's a situation where it's it doesn't make sense for Robert to sign. Like I said, it makes sense for the Sox to try because you can get a good value there, but there's no incentive for him to sign because he's still getting the $20 million options the upcoming years. Yeah. Unless they decline it, like Bruce says.
Right. Well, and it's just nonsense again, because I mean, we brought this up looking at the first base options because that's one of the positions that he said, go out and get a solidified first baseman. I don't know how much Alonso's option is for, but I think it's likely more than $20 million.
Yeah,
he'd likely get the qualifying.
I think it's the same amount he's making currently, close to 25, 30.
Right.
But I don't see the Sox signing him. The Mets should resign him because he's homegrown star. It'd be dumb to let him walk, but yeah, there's not much out there. Maybe they want to go after Josh Naylor just so he can't hit home runs against you anymore.
But if he doesn't see red like the bull, is he even going to be able to hit homers? Yeah. The other thing too, he's coming off an injury. He just got hurt when the Sox were playing him. He's at around 2 WAR. I think he'd be an interesting signing. He's a left-handed hitter. I wouldn't be against him.
Yeah.
But he's 30. Ryan O'Hearn's who having the best 2 years of his years. He's 31 or 32. And once you get past those guys, there's Muncy who has an option for $12 million.
Yeah.
But then it's
Paul
there's
Goldschmidt,
not much. Carlos Santana, Wilmer Flores. It's real ugly. I think
isn't Tyler O'Neill on his 5th 1-year contract? Would that be something that would interest you guys either?
He's an outfielder though. Is he playing?
He's a corner outfielder. He'll give you a little bit more power. Yeah. It kind of solidifies your 3, 4, 5, or maybe even hit him 6th if you want to.
He's been pretty decent this year.
Yeah, he just can't stay healthy. But again, that also opens up opportunities for other guys to play. It's not the worst kind of money spent if you're the Chicago White Sox.
43 games played this year, 8 home runs.
Woohoo! Extrapolate that.
Worse than Colson.
Extrapolate.
No, he's worse than Colson. That was the joke. Colson's got 13 and 42 games.
Then we don't want him.
We need Tyler O'Neill. We can just have Colson Montgomery play first base.
There you go.
Kevin saying those options are no guarantee, though. I guess the aspect of this is, I guess there are aspects of this I don't understand. What kind of free agent contract is Robert going to sign? Is that going to be lucrative at this point? I mean, at least to answer your point, Kevin, the options aren't guarantees.
Yeah.
It's all Sox
But
dependent.
Getz has said that they want him next year, so next year you could at least pencil in as a guarantee, unless Bruce was right.
The idea, too, like the $20 million around the qualifying option, which I think Luis Robert Jr. with his potential is enticing enough to have a team give him a 1-year, $21 million contract or whatever the qualifying number is. So I do think that would be around the free agent contract he could sign. But the idea is if the Sox cut bait with him, he's just a full free agent to sign for several years.
Yeah.
So if he can go out on this market right now, even though it might not be $200 million contract or $300 million
Conforto
contract.
got like 118, 1 to 20 coming off like a pretty substandard year last year by the Dodgers. Like I think there's going to be somebody out there that will pay for him just because the talent is there and the defense and base running alone are pretty valuable.
If they decline that option, I would see him probably getting like a $360 million deal, which is, $60 million guaranteed right there for 3 years, which it would extend him past his life right now, at least, in the White Sox. So, I don't think there's a point for him to sign that extension because he could get traded to a different team and maybe even that change of scenery with better lineup, with better hitters would even improve his production. And there's less pressure on him to be the fourth hitter while playing great defensive center field and being a guy who can steal bases.
Yeah.
If he could even focus on just, walking and then swinging when he does swing for power, maybe we see even a better version of Luis Robert Jr.
Exactly.
So I think it is just about putting it on red, and even if it hits black like 8 times, statistically, Luis Robert Jr. is going to have a great season.
Yeah, exactly. It's like goes back to the point about declining it that you said. We're talking about Bruce's quote. It's like the talent is there, the upside is there. Somebody's going to pay him, but I don't think he would sign an extension because he knows that. And like, what else?
Right. Well, and looking at center field right now, it's Tucker, who will get over 400. Likely. He's not a center fielder, but a right fielder who has just been absurd for 5 straight years hitting wise. Kyle Schwarber, who can't play defense at all. Cody Bellinger, who's like kind of in Robert's territory.
Yeah,
like
he's been pretty decent this year.
Better, but like he also had a real weird stretch from like 19 to 21 where he couldn't find it. But he's a similar age to Robert, but O'Neill's older, Mullins is older, Conforto's older, Yastrzemski's older, Taylor's older, Marte's older. Grisham, I think, is the only other one that's like in a similar age range.
And isn't he like a bench player at this point?
Maybe he's maybe a team that's not the Yankees could see him as a viable starting outfielder, but he's not getting $20 million. Grisham isn't getting a qualifying offer. So there is a big gap where Robert has a 38 homer season, and I mean, maybe Schwarber is the only guy that has 38 in a tally, and none of those guys play center. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's interesting, and I think way too interesting for the Sox to just walk away from. All right, Alex, any final thoughts on the Sox, on Chris Getz? We're hitting 47 minutes. Tyson Bagent thoughts?
No Bagent thoughts. Illini to the playoffs this year.
Illini to the playoffs. We got all Big Ten starting up with Joey Christopoulos. We'll be talking about that soon on the first episode of the Illini making the playoffs. You can follow Alex at ARude8. He's got great baseball thoughts. You can go follow there on Twitter. And whenever you're joining the Anjou, which seems like monthly or so at this point, you can check him out with Beef Loaf. Thank you to Alex. Thank you to Joey for producing the show. Thank you to Mark Carman for joining us from Midway Airport. Thank you to you for hanging out with us in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. And just a final note here, BPG saying, I can't see why we wouldn't/couldn't get a free agent other than Jerry's penny pinching. Again, like they've spent $185 million on a team that went 81-81. They're not approaching $100 million. It's not really penny pinching. They could
there's not much there.
They cleaned out a lot of salary, and there just wasn't a ton to be able to add this year. It's a transition year. I think they can finally make a big signing soon. Anyways, we'll see you soon here on the CHGO White Sox post-game show. Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.